What's up? Episode number 3, WaWa's Bootcamp PUBCast coming in hot. Now, if you do recall from episode 1, episode 2, off of our success, we got him again. Crimson EU resident. How's it going, man?
Yeah,
How's it going?
How's it going?
Good. And in the middle, Poor Source, Lynn Experience Extraordinaire, N.A. You're supposed to say something. Yeah, you're supposed to say something.
Yeah. What up, fam?
What up, fam?
What are we talking about today, Dave?
What are we talking about today? Well, we got the hashtags down there. The hashtag savage, hashtag war mode, hashtag hotdrop.gg. So pretty much a bunch of, relevant new PUBG modes. So we'll just get right into this. I'll just say savage, and you guys can just, whoever wants to go first, let's just start spitballing.
I'll let you go, Crimson. Take it away.
Yeah, all right, Savage, yeah, it's pretty cool. Everyone agrees it's a cool map, right? Looks cool. Everyone likes new stuff. One thing I'll throw out there, the textures, half the people say, like, those textures look really good, actually. It's super clean. There's nothing in the buildings compared to, like, Miramar covered in stuff. You think they're going to leave it like that?
No.
Not the work in progress textures, but, like, the buildings with, like, nothing in them. You think they're going to fill that up with furniture and stuff?
Furniture?
I don't know. I would imagine that they probably will. I mean, the thing that I'm more concerned about is, are they going to keep the loot tables the same? Because being able to drop it literally any compound and still be able to come out with enough gear for a squad, at least to fight reasonably, was probably the best part about that whole map. You're not forced into dropping into any of these heavy, the big compounds or whatever, the military base type compounds, but you can just kind of go and trash loot, and it's not trash anymore.
Yeah, is there trash loot is the question.
I thought you were going to say that was a bad thing, to be honest.
No, hell no.
I love that. The amount of loot there, it just kind of gets rid a little bit of the battle royale thing for me, because you don't have to. You can drop anywhere. Like, you just come out with an AI. Why not just spawn with an AR? All
right.
That's another mode now, right?
So can I just do a recap?
Recap. Side,
I didn't introduce it. Savage. It was available for like 3 days, if I'm not mistaken, on the experimental PUBG server. So if you were sleeping and you were sleeping for 3 days and missed it, well, there it is, right there. Experimental server, Savage. They were testing out a new map. It was phenomenal. So much content already out there. Just one thing that I want you guys to talk about is how we saw the circle as well. We saw the circle right in the plane, something that they're messing with. But I just wanted to let the people know, if they didn't know what Savage was, what it is.
Let the people know, dude.
Yeah. It was a smaller map. So let's get back into it.
Smaller map as well. So that's going to, obviously we're talking about competitive side of things as well. Like, smaller map, obviously, I pretty much agreed that we're not going to be able to use it for standard competitive as we play, right? Yes? No?
I want it, man.
I do not agree.
16 teams. You don't think so?
16 teams.
Talk about a fast-paced game. Will they fit in it? Yeah, they'll fit in it, but are they going to survive past a minute? I don't think so. But that's what we need. We need early game action. That's what everyone's complaining about, as far as at least what I've seen from a viewer's perspective. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that having a smaller map is a way to get that early game action and mid game action, and have fights and promote fights without having to do anything stupid to the settings, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not having to make things, change things any more than they already are. It's just the fact that you're already dropping. You see the circle, so if your team decides to drop, if you have a specific drop place and it's outside of the circle, you only have a limited amount of time before you have to start moving in. I think it would be super interesting to see, because we look at Arangel, you look at Miramar, Arangel more than Miramar, but every team has their own drop location. If you do that in Savage, pretty much every drop location is within at least vision. At least 3 or 4 or 5 other drop locations. That would be interesting. So, I think it'd be great, to be honest. But as with anything, as with Miramar, as with any new additions to the game, we have to see what the pro community thinks about it. And everything I saw was pretty positive.
Well, they're gonna complain.
Well, I mean, they're gonna complain. They're gonna complain if you try to just force it in before it's ready to go. But and that's understandable. But like, I think if you give it enough time, give them enough time to practice it, and give them enough time to play that map with a bunch of other pro level people and see how the game plays out, then I mean, I think that they'll like it. I assume they will. I mean, everything that I was hearing from at least the NA side, everybody seemed to like it, and most of the tweets I saw on the EU side, they seem to enjoy it as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think people enjoyed the map, but I mean, for me, like, I like the high level strategy game in PUBG, right? And I feel like no space to rotate. You basically have to take the fight that you see to get to the circle. You've got no options on a small map like that if you're in a compound and the only way to get to the circle is through another team. Like, that's exciting. That's an element of it. I don't dislike, the fighting element of the game, but some of the really excellent plays are like the movement, the high level tactics, that's what we see from the best teams.
So hold on. This is the EU opinion.
Yeah,
EU versus NA opinion. It's clear. It's clear as day right here. Poor with the NA,
BS.
Crimson with the EU.
Hey, that's why phase are at the top, man. Rotations. It's not the DMing.
That's BS. It's they will be it will change the meta, of course. Like obviously the meta for Savage will be different than anything on Orangel.
Yeah.
And if the meta in all comp right now anyway is that we want to be able to drop, we want to be able to loot, we want to be able to position ourselves without having to worry too much about having to get involved in early fights that we don't really necessarily want. And yeah, that's not going to be the same for Savage, but that's not the map that Savage is. You can't play Savage like you would play Orangel. So it's gonna create a new meta. And if you want to avoid fighting, which EU teams, I don't know, they shouldn't avoid fighting because
they're phenomenal.
They're the best shots in the world right now. So or at least some of the best shooters in the world. They obviously you want to kind of remove those elements of RNG, but when you're seeing the circle before you even drop from the plane, that's already removing some element of RNG from it. If you don't want to be caught in between another team and the circle, then don't drop outside the circle in the first circle, right? That's if your drop path, if your drop spot that you love so much is outside of the circle, then you have to kind of take that into account, right? And work around that, and you just got. I don't know. I think it's
all right. Let me say something. Pretty much, I'm going to go on a limb here and say Miramar, from a competitive perspective, was a fail. All right.
Miramar?
Yeah, you guys don't have to agree with me. That's fine. That's just my opinion. From a competitive perspective, was a fail. The players, everybody, they just didn't like it. Most of the organizers don't even use it right now. Savage, on the other hand, it's our second chance, I feel like, for competitive new maps. And if it is a success, maybe they can develop new maps in similar biomes or different biomes, but like based around Savage, you're right, as far as competitive goes. So, I mean, I like that they came out with Savage, the hype around it, the feel of it. I mean, even the bare bones, like you mentioned at the very beginning, bare bones, but people love it. They love it. I mean, so I feel like it's a second win for the competitive community, and I love it.
It's so different than Orangel though. So it's like you can't, whereas before you could do 2 maps Orangel to a map of Miramar or whatever. I don't think you can really do Orangel and then Savage. Like you kind of, it's almost like
I don't know.
I feel like it's going to come down to one or the other. Like
you think so?
I mean, it's just going to depend on how long Savage is around. And how long, like how much the competitive community really embraces it. Because right now it's like they're entrenched in Orangel. Like Orangel, you everything is set, and having something come up like Savage, it's completely new, and it's a completely different play style. And I don't think it's going to be adopted, even though I think they love it. I don't think it's going to get adopted.
Whoa, toxic, Poro.
We might see some Savage only. Might see like a Savage only tournament, or maybe something like that.
I'm making it then.
Cool. I mean,
Savage only. I'll make it if I have to.
I don't think you can mix it into the map pool because the gameplay is just going to be so much different.
I mean, if you're the best of the best, I mean, that's just one of the aspects of it. If you're playing football, you can play in the snow. If you're playing football, you can play it in the sun. If you're in a dome,
then you shouldn't care where you're playing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, not all stadiums are in a dome, right? With no weather,
Right,
and speaking of weather, let's talk about one more point before we move on. The dynamic weather.
Yeah, that's sick.
Pretty
Yeah,
sick.
I mean, that was cool. Yeah.
Game changing.
Well, you want to see it on Erangel, though?
Hell, I want to see it everywhere. I mean, just imagine if the guys are camping in a building, which we usually see mid-game, right? Positioning. Fog comes out of nowhere. You have no vision no more. So that optimal spot. Hey, I'm just saying that optimal spot. Then come on, you guys in RNG. If you're the best,
I'm just saying, you're not gonna see. They won't.
I don't think so.
The players don't want it.
well then I'm gonna still be sleeping.
I'm
just gonna take a nap.
Fog in the circle, you know.
I'm just gonna take a nap then, like I'm already doing mid-game. I mean, if that's what
No,
you want.
I-
That's what you
I-
get.
It's a great
agree.
feature for the game. But
Yeah,
just
I
not for
agree. I think it's
competitive,
cool as shit.
you know?
But like,
Yeah.
they you know how players.
It's a much
are.
better
They
way
wanna
to do it
remove
than
all elements of
fog
RNG. Yeah.
All right. So, any last thoughts on Savage from both of you guys? I'll let you have the floor right here. Anything else that you think we might have overlooked?
I think that if you take, I almost want to I want to take vehicles out of it.
Vehicles out of it.
But yeah, I don't think they're really necessary.
Because if you think about when, especially in competitive, like the problems that we have with like lag and FPS drops or whatever, that usually has to do with having so many vehicles towards the late circles. And I feel like if you're these teams that like to take, get as many vehicles as you can find and bring them into the end, make vehicle forts, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I think if you take vehicles out of Savage altogether, because they're not really necessary, like you don't really need them. And I think that would actually it would make it more interesting competitive wise.
Crimson?
Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, I think they will probably tweak the circles to make them a bit slower, in which case the vehicle's not going to be needed at all. And I think that'd be good.
All right. I'll agree with you guys on that one.
Please keep the loot tables the way they are.
Yeah. All right. So, same loot tables, no vehicles. It's the best map ever. We all agree. All right. All right. So let's talking about new things. And I mean, hold up. Before do we go? Let's all vote. Do we think it should be in competitive Savage or not? I mean, I think it should. Poro.
Go on, Poro.
Poro.
I want to abstain, but
It's either yes or no. Yes or no.
hell yes,
Crimson.
strong yes.
I will say no.
Man, you guys in EU.
Unless it's a
Always so
completely
difficult.
different tournament or something like that.
Always so difficult. All right, well, talking about competitive, let's bring it to another game mode here, War Mode. That seems to be the craze. I mean, right after Savage, we saw War Mode come out. Now, I had the opportunity, and I'm sure we all had, to get into one of these custom games, and my goodness, it is crazy.
War mode is fun as hell. I wish that they would put that in there. Like, I want War mode to be like the ARAM of PUBG, to where like I can just come in and just play War mode all night.
Couple of games.
And obviously it's got a lot of stuff that needs fixing and needs to be tweaked. I mean, I've played probably 15 games of it, and I've crashed probably 5 of them.
Wow.
I don't know. Get the gray screen bug, and the desync. There's some issues there, but like at its core, it is a lot of fun. And like I kind of wish that they would make that kind of a. I think that they need to institute that as something that anybody can play at any time, because I think that's going to get a lot of the casual player base back. Instead of having to do these. The people that hot drop, 50 people hot dropping on School or Pachinki or Hacienda or Picado. Now you just have a game mode where if you want a hot drop, you play this game mode. You hot drop to your little heart's content. You're just going to be hot dropping and hot dropping. So I think that will appease that side of the player base, and it'll also kind of, I think, in turn, make the other games better.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I hope it gets rid of this thing, especially on Miramar, that you get where everybody
30
got Picado.
players alive.
No, you've got
before
no
the
people
first
left
circle
on
hits.
on the map. Exactly. I think that will definitely improve that, because those kind of people, that appeals to them perfectly.
All right. So, I mean, if you haven't played it yet, War Mode, pretty much, like we mentioned, it's in customs. I believe you could tinker with the team size. I mean, I've seen 5 to 7. I don't know exactly the number 10.
I think you can do 20v20.
20v20. So you get the team, and pretty much you get in the plane, and it redirects you right away to a very small zone that you're pretty much going to play the whole entire match. And I guess the objective is just to see who can frag out the most, which team can get the most frags. So, I mean, you die, you respawn in waves, and pretty much just frag out. So, I mean, it's just like hot drop in school, hot drop in Picado. But this time there's actually an objective to it, and that's you want to win as far as player count or points per kill.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of it. Now, do we see this? I mean, I know we said casual players, but is there any kind of hope that we could see this mode in competitive? Can we intertwine it somehow?
One thing I want to throw in there, right? I might not be 100% correct with this, but as far as I know, right, it's based on the Arma 3 BR mod version of the game called WaWa, and in that game, instead of it just ending at 150 kills, at 100 or whatever you set the kill count to, people just stopped respawning at that point, and then the circle slowly got smaller and it played out like a normal battle royale game. And I was expecting that to be the case, because without that, I mean, it's not battle royale in any way anymore, right? It's just a deathmatch, you know. It's basically a completely different mode.
Yeah.
And you know, which is fine, which is okay, but at the same time, you know, I could go play COD. You know, if I wanted to play deathmatch, I could go play COD, and the mechanics are there. The desync's better, the hit reg is better. You know, I don't get killed when I drop in parachuting 3 out of 5 times. You know, it's a little bit weird to me that they completely removed everything battle royale related. But you know, I mean, it's definitely fun, but it's just a little bit. I was expecting a little bit more, maybe innovation is the word. I don't know, for that kind of game mode.
I mean,
and I think
all right.
have a competitive element to it. If you could do that, you know, then you would have a reason to get to that a level, and you'd have a final end game that you can do without just, you know, straight up.
So Poro's laughing at this whole topic right now. What's on your mind, man? War mode competitive. What's on your mind?
I mean, why can't we just let it be what it is? You know, it's literally, it's just a mode that lets you hot drop, and like, you don't, not everything needs to be competitive. You know, not everything needs to be considered for tournaments. I mean, this is basically, I think it's great when we look at it for the competitive scene. I think it's great as a practice tool. It's great as a warm up tool before you go into like grinding. You know, for whatever. It's just like it's a way, if they can get it cleaned up to where the hit reg is a little bit better, the desync kind of goes away, and like, you know, all the little issues with it. If they could clean it up and get it to run a little bit smoother, I think it's a great tool for just warming up. You know, come in, load up, play a couple of rounds of war, and then go and play your regular scrims or whatever. And you know, right now, pros are warming up by doing Picado hot drops or you know, whatever. So
Yeah.
this is kind of like a different. It's accomplishing the same goal, but doing it in a much cleaner way, I guess.
All right, one point on this. So I forget which one it was, but it was a LAN event that we had kind of the showman's battle or whatever they called it. What if this could be that? I mean,
Oh, you talking about the
there's a LAN event. And they had like a
show
first one,
matches.
general
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, what if this
They
could
did
just be all
TPP show
16?
match and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, that one. What if this could just be all 16 teams, just one show match? I mean, just to warm up, like you said, but live, so people can enjoy it and be entertained. So it is kind of combining it with that competitive aspect. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's so hard to follow, to see what's happening. Like, there's no, you know, that I think that's part of, you know, what I'm saying about this BR element to it. Like, when you win or when you're second or whatever, it just ends suddenly, and I just find that a little bit unsatisfying. You know, it's kind of a bit, I guess if it's a training mode, that sort of thing, then fine. But you know, I like to have the thrill of winning, or the final kind of, oh my god, am I going to win?
Listen, Crimson, you got to frag out, man. You got to frag out. It's not our fault. It's not our fault.
No,
man.
no. I mean, I did win. I won a game with my squad, and it
got
just stops.
screenshots?
It just goes done, win. You know? And I'm like, all right, it's boring, you know. It's
Whoa.
so, like,
All right.
and
All right, so both
it's
you,
not boring, but it's the same all the way through. You know?
both of you
Just
don't
keep
think
killing
it could
stuff
be
until it says,
incorporated.
"You're done."
Both of you don't
No,
think it could be incorporated. Anyway, possibly.
show matches?
No, I
show
don't think so.
matches are stupid as hell.
All right, well, that's 2v1 right there. I love it. Whatever, PUBG Corp, hit me up, because it seems like I'm the only one digging all your
Yeah,
stuff.
Dave will cast one of these games for you.
All right, so two more really quickly game modes, and then one more big topic. So we saw also Sunrise Tequila. I think that's out still, and we had also a flare guns on on Miramar, which was pretty fun. So I just want to tie it into the game modes and just your thoughts on why they're coming out with these kind of rotating game modes, and just what's the idea? What's the idea?
There's some great things they could do, but shotguns and melee is not one of them. Like, that's just like showing people how bad the desync is. Like, let's pick the two things that's the most frustrating to play with and put them in an event. Like, what are they doing? It's like, it's just so weird.
So you guys hate that one. What about the flare guns one in Miramar? Did you play
the flare guns was it was actually pretty, like, I don't like TPP that much, but it was pretty interesting how much more action there was in the mid game in Miramar, because you basically shot the thing in the air and everybody knew where you were and you called fights to yourself, which was kind of cool. It was interesting.
So
I mean, I will say that I didn't like either of these modes, but I love the fact that they're still trying to do fun, exciting, interesting game modes. I know that the comment is like, oh, look at PUBG totally trying to be Fortnite, but Fortnite wasn't the first friggin' game to ever come up with specific, fun game modes for their game. Like, get over yourself. Yeah. So, like, I appreciate that they're actually doing these things and trying different things, and having fun with it, and giving players a reason to stick around other than just the core game. Which, I love the core game. It still needs to be fixed, but. I'm a fan of the game modes. I'm a fan of them. I'm just waiting to see the one that comes out that I'm going to enjoy playing. But except for War is the shit. I love
Crimson, last thoughts on rotating game modes?
No, I think that's definitely it. Yeah, I just want to see some ones that are going to be a bit more, I don't know, cleverly done. Fun, I guess. Fun,
All right. So, so we got around 9 more minutes to go. We talked about the hashtag Savage. We talked about the hashtag War Mode. So if you guys are, watching this live, or not live, but just watching in general, you see the hashtag hotdrop.gg. Now, I want to go and say that I don't think a lot of people actually are aware of this, right? I mean, a lot of people in the competitive scene definitely aware of this, but the general public
private right now.
It's private. So I don't even know if we're allowed to talk about this, but we're going to talk about it because we're bringing you guys the news. So I know Crimson has a lot of details on hotdrop.gg. So Poro, I'm going to let Crimson start us off on this topic.
Take it away.
All right, I mean, I do a little explanation, I guess. It's pretty similar system to we've seen in other kind of competitive games, but basically, at least at the moment, you sign up for it, and it's just putting you in with a random selection of teammates, and you drop into basically what's a scrim, but with a mixed up team. And I mean, I'm pretty sure we're okay to talk about it because they were allowing streaming and stuff, and they're trying to promote it, right? So, this is all part of it.
Go, just tell us the details, man. Come on.
Well,
Come on.
Tell us. I mean, that's all I can. Yeah.
That's all you can say.
No. But basically, like, that's the gist of it, right? And I think the competitive guys like it because obviously they don't have to jump into pubs, hot drop Picado, and to try and get some action out of it. A lot of them are streaming it, and they can stream it so they're not showing off their team strats, which is one of the main reasons that they don't like streaming their own competitive games, right? Because they're just kind of trying things out with a brand new mixed up team, and so I think a lot of pros are enjoying it, and it makes for good watching. If you enjoy watching streams, it's it's a bit different, it's a change, it's fun.
Poro, shaking your head, man. What's going on?
No, I think that hot drop GG is great. I love it. I love the guys who make it. I think it's an amazing thing. It shouldn't need to exist. If we just get some friggin' MMR and high tier matchmaking in this game, the reason that the pros love it so much is because it's so similar to Early Access 1, where they would grind, and then all of a sudden their pub games they were playing against each other. And so that's essentially what Hot Drop GG is. It's just recreating Early Access 1, and you're basically doing solo squads. You're getting matched up in teams with random other pros that are at your level, or at least players that are at your level. But this should be a thing that's in the game. Like there's a reason that all the pros are basically saying, like, we hardly ever even play pubs anymore. The only time we ever play PUBG is if it's in scrims, because there's no point. There's no point in playing pubs and going into a game with your full competitive squad, and you drop and you're transitioning into the first circle. You look up and you notice there's 30 people left. Like, what's the point? That doesn't do anything for anybody. So I love that Hot Drop GG is doing this. I just wish it didn't have to be a thing. I just wish it didn't have to exist.
So pretty much what it does is, just to be clear, because I'm not exactly sure. Do you have to have your full squad sign up for it, or does you just have to be
You sign up individually?
You sign up, and then it matches you with other players on your caliber.
For right now, from what I understand, right now it's it's by invite only. First of all, so it's all just the people from the pro community. You sign up individually, then there's like a randomizing table that, before every match, if you're logged in, it will randomly assign you to a team. You then hook up with your team and you go into a custom lobby and blah blah blah. You start your own thing, whatever. For the future, I think he's trying to do it to where you can actually sign up and come in with your teams, and then you just be matched up with a random, in a squad match with competitive settings. 16 teams, same circle, same AR settings, all that stuff. And you basically just get a random 16 teams in there.
But they're high
that
MMR.
are all near
High
your
level,
level.
yeah.
Right.
Right. Oh,
So
I
it's
like
basically
that.
just like an automated scrim system.
Exactly.
It's automated. It's automated. So,
But it's pretty much automated.
or that's what the idea is
Yeah,
behind it.
That's what they're working
There's a
towards,
website
yeah.
behind it, and as opposed to just someone picking 16 teams and going, "Hey, do you want to play a scrim?"
So pretty much like Poro said, MMR for PUBG. So just that the higher level competitive players can still just grind it out, but it also pays off because you can work on different strategies and whatnot. Now my only thing is with this is I know it's invite only. But how is it going to intertwine with, say us three? We want to make a squad. Say we grind it out, we become good. Our MMR goes up.
I'm not good, Dave.
I'm just saying, how do we get involved, right? Like, is that even an option? Because I know it's privately invited only, but is there
At the
any
moment, it's not.
indication for people who are good?
Planning on inviting people in, but then you get, especially with the fact that PUBG doesn't have any real MMR. It's like, how do you decide who is good enough to get into, I don't know, say they do a tier 1 and a tier 2 system. That's something they're going to have to figure out, because obviously lots of people are going to want to join up, but they're not all going to be at that like #1 team in the world level. And it's going to start becoming clear that some teams are maybe, not tier 1 material.
Yeah.
How do you kind of go about doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you get, a lot of people signing up, you get the top 100 teams. And just constantly doing, recycled random 16 team lobbies. I mean, that starts getting pretty big here eventually. I would love to see them open up to the public. We'll see how long that takes.
Yeah, I can see it being big. That's the only reason, because
well, it's big because people want to play against people at their same level. But I mean, if you I think if you instituted MMR and you made war mode a actual like regular playable game, I think that your pub game matches would all of a sudden just be amazing. Like, I think it would be so much more interesting, more entertaining, or at least just some kind of competitive ranked mode to where you reduce it down to the usual standard competitive number of teams with the 16 teams and all those settings. I think people would start playing a lot when because right now there's no reason to grind. Back in early access 1, back when we first picked up the game, a week after it was released, I grinded. I have never played a single game that long and that over and over in forever, and I think there's no point to doing that right now. For anybody at any skill level, you can't right now, the way that it's set up, you can't be like a decent player and feel like you're going into public play and by grinding that you're getting any better. It's just not there.
And that's the whole point of a game. I mean, if they want to be successful, you have to have, a time sink. That's what it is. I mean, Fortnite, you can sink your time into leveling up to 100, and then it resets every season. So, I mean, there's that incentive there at least, right?
I mean, League of Legends, you got bronze, silver,
you have the leagues.
Any type
a time
of game
sink.
competitive. You have
but
some kind of ranking
it's not the case that like every single game. I mean, there are games out with, okay, not big esports scenes, but there are competitive games with competitive settings that are all done through external websites, and because there's just nothing in the game for them, you know. So it's not. Well, obviously, I agree. PUBG should do that. Like, it's not. You know, it's not the first time that somebody's had to go around the developers and create their own ranking system for whatever reason. So, you know, I think it's good, and obviously, hopefully, PUBG Corp sees it and goes, "Huh, I wonder if, you know, there's a reason that they have to do this, and maybe we can improve that."
All right.
I mean, at this point, I feel like the only reason that they're not doing it is because they still haven't gotten a handle on the cheating situation, which they're getting close. I mean, you gotta appreciate the fact that they are constantly coming up with these anti-cheat updates and all that, and I feel like it's made somewhat of a difference in my games. I mean, there's still instances where, you know, things are questionable, but, you know, I think before you can really have like a true ranking system, you gotta kind of square that away.
So,
and I feel like they're getting better at it.
All right. Well, it's about that time, guys. So I'm thinking we have our next topic already. Kind of what we think should be implemented into PUBG. I mean, we're just a couple guys hanging out with our facial hair. I know. But maybe that could be next weekend's episode. You know, things that we would like to see in the game. I know for me, I would like to see some type of new melee system. You know, some blocks, some pushes. You know, similar to the culling. But hey, this has been another episode of PUBCast over here at WaWa's Bootcamp. Crimson, any outro for you, man? You want to say anything? Anything?
Oh, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, drop the feedback, guys. We love the feedback. Yeah.
Pour.
Yeah, give us more ideas about what you want us to wax dumbass on.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do anything.
Opinions, man.
We'll do anything. So this has been another successful episode of PUBCast. See you guys next week.
See you later.